flicker because he's not good. But they're going to pick up the Vox, so it's going to be a CP Blackfeather. You're kind of forced to go Crystal Blackfeather on A side because you know that last pick could be a Rona and it would just destroy your entire comp. Now, what can Impunity bring out to try and counter this? Kestrel's still free.
Well, I was not expecting the weapon power Sky. They could obviously decide to run a CP and go double CP, but in this situation, I think we're more than likely going to see that Sky pushed onto weapon power. I'm not really such a fan of that, and I've spoken, well, just as a CP Sky main, I think the abilities are a lot better, and weapon power was never that much in the meta, and I think that the ban on Saw that came out second from the side of Infamous was a very good one because that is something you were talking about the possible Rona pick to go against the Black Feather, but I think the Saw pick is almost just as good sometimes to take down that Black Feather early on, though then they could just flex it to that of the CP Black Feather and burst down the Saw a lot quicker. So I guess the end, yeah, it's just a ban you don't want to go against in case it gets ramped up in the early game. We spoke about how dangerous Saw was when you asked me my predictions.
Yeah, I think they're just worried that the Saw would be played really well by Impunity, and honestly, in 2.9, there aren't that many Saw counters. Yes, CP Blackfeather can do really well, but CP Blackfeather can also get destroyed by Saw up until that level 8 power spike once he gets the overdriven on point. So it does make sense to ban away the Saw if you don't want to play against it. I was not expecting to see a Weapon Power Sky today. Yes, it can work really well. You get Breaking Point early on. Weapon Sky is probably the best hero for stacking Breaking Point in the game, honestly. And so it's definitely a different pick from Impunity. I was really expecting a Weapon Kestrel, just go for that standard Kestrel Rhyme combo that was so good together, worked with Grace. The Vox isn't really that much of a problem. Lance is annoying, but not too bad. But maybe they're trying to pick that Sky to counter the Lance because it's really almost impossible to land Impales on a Sky.
Yeah, and I think that will really have to be the key point for the Sky is to just focus on the mobility that they have at hand and trying to dodge out those, especially on points, I think is something you need to be worried about, as well as the Impales you mentioned. You don't want to get locked down, but you want to negate any defense that new 2.10 update. I believe Black Feather had a lot more fortified health off the back of that on point and a lot more just general defense.
That is true. The Weapon Sky might also be a CP Blackfeather counter because it's very hard to land it on point. Very similar skill to an Impale, a little bit quicker, but still it's hard to land that on point against the Sky who's constantly darting around the fold. Using that movement speed bonus from Lock On, using the Suri Strike to try and dodge another on point, and that could turn the fight in Impunity's favour. I think draft is very even. I wasn't expecting draft to go in favour of one team or the other. These teams don't let themselves get out drafted. It's always, as it always is, these teams are going to play it. And whether we're going to see a bit of early game pressure onto the CP Blackfeather in jungle, because Rhyme really can pressure Blackfeather early on and starve him of farm before 4 minutes in.
Yeah, I think Rhyme just such a beast in the current patch that they're playing on, and that it goes back to the fact that why this Rhyme and this Black Feather usually banned out so often. Black Feather a bit more versatile in his build and Mav, he could go weapon or CP, and that's just something we'll have to see, because weapon power Vox in this previous patch, also the breaking point stacks just stack up so quickly for him, really could work out well. I understood you were talking about possible CP Vox, but more in the case if they were to go against that of a Rona and a Rhyme who would try to be up in their face. So in this situation, maybe they'll flex it back to that, the weapon power. I mean, everything is undecided yet, but we'll kind of just have to see what they go into the match. Who knows? We might see double CP on the side of one team, could even see double weapon power on the side of other, but I think these teams more than likely looking to balance things out just so moving into the late game, if it does move towards there, they will have that kind of reassurance that, well, the enemy didn't have to build only one type of defense and provide them with extra offensive capabilities.
That is very true. Renagades could decide to go double weapon because Blackfeather is much better versus a Sky, and Impunity could go double CP. CP Sky quite good against Vox, quite good against Blackfeather, but not great against CP Blackfeather. You're going to get outpoked in most situations. So yeah, it is up in the open. The team's still thinking about what the best idea is, what rotations they want to do early game, and what builds they want to go for. I think on this Vox, I'd love to see Breaking Point into Poison Shiv. You don't need a Poison Shiv until Grace hits level 6. And you can get that on Vox as your second item. It doesn't have to be the first item that you prioritize. It can just be picked up second. You don't, because Grace isn't going to hit level 6 before you manage to get 2 damage items.
Yeah, and I think that really is going to be the fact that they want to play more aggressively, but both the roamers here, I think, will be quite aggressive in a sense that we've got the Lance going in with the Impales. He's just got to be that frontliner, but Grace with the Retribution perk in early fights, I'd like to see which team, if not both, go for that early fight over the outer treant and whether one's going to back down, because as you said earlier, both teams have a good draft at their hands, and I think neither one really completely at a loss here. They've got their own strengths and weaknesses to play around.
Yeah, early game, I would say it has to be the Grace and Rhyme. Impunity have got that in their favour, but we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen early on. Who is going to take this game one as we're loading into the Halcyon Fold? Let us know which team you're supporting. Is it Renagades? Is it Impunity? Which team do you think is going to basically take the title at the end of this series? And so going back to that early game rotation, I'd expect Blackfeather to go from his backs and go towards the mid. Rhyme, I think, should start at the mid and work towards his backs. It looks like both teams going for the backs. This does favour Renegades slightly because Blackfeather's going to just try and steal this Elder Treant with an on point, and Bluxy's going to try and secure it by attacking it first.
Yeah, I do think that if the side of Impunity had gone for it prior, they could have just taken it with Rhyme's Winter Spires being enough damage, or enough base damage for that team. Although Sky going as a weapon, Sky going for that Suri Strike first instead of for Barrage. So they are going for that balance in the team, and then you can see likewise for the side of Renegades that Uni on that box has also gone weapon, and Chingy onto that this crystal power path. And now we're going to see a bit of poke come down here in the early game. There's level 2s across the board, so Blue City able to root up Chingy with the chill winds, and that should be the first blood going into the hands of Impunity.
I said Impunity was certainly going to be stronger early game. They just went for it. They did not care about that Elder Treant. They went straight for the fight, and Bootsty is going to fake port, leave it, and then steal the backs. I think he'll get there, but Shingy using boots to try and steal these farm away. There are 1-2 secured by Shingy at the backs. Bootsy's in trouble.
Oh, Blue City in trouble indeed, especially with all those broken heart stacks. But look at this, the CP Blackfeather just not able to do enough early game against that for Rhyme. And then until SNK comes over the wall with an Impale, Githian wall, and saves Chingy's
Protector contract as well.
Oh, the Protector contract did come out, and they're going to use it once again just to make sure they kill that of Cordovar on that Grace. And what a play there by SNK, playing as a true support early on, because I was sure even though Chingy managing to get that farm, it looked like they were going to lose out that fight in the 1v1 early on with the Rhyme.
Renegades bringing the fight to Impunity. That was very impressive plays from SNK. Blackfeather was dead. One more basic attack from Rhyme would have done it. He tried to kite away. Lance protect contract, Impale over the wall, lands onto the Rhyme, and they secure the kill. So really important for Renegades, because if those backs had gone to Rhyme, if Shingy hadn't used boots to catch up to try and steal the farm away, and then if Bluxy got the kill, this would be about a 1.5k gold lead for Impunity at this point. But as it is, gold dead even. So really important that Renegades are able to pick up 2 kills onto the Rhyme and the Grace. So this means now Bluxy cannot be aggressive early game because he's not ahead. He hasn't won anything. And this is so good for Renegades. But then again, the Sky will ramp up into late game. It's not a disaster for Impunity, but it's definitely something they could have had a much better early game advantage.
Yeah, it could have gone a lot smoother for the side of Impunity, but Renegades not going to allow that to happen. They are here in this match that really they're fighting for that first place spot, both of these teams. Well, Impunity, we did mention, is fighting for the chance to really take down that #1 team to give them the opportunity to get into that first place spot. They'll still have to work hard at it tomorrow, even if they do manage to get themselves a win here. But Renegades know if we do this now, then there's no worries. no worries with whatever we do from this game on out.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of pressure put onto Uni in lane. He will struggle early game against Sky, who has got way more damage than Vox because Sky has shopped. Vox still sitting on 1.5k, but Shingy now up in lane, looking to try and put reverse pressure onto DefQ. Those on points are going to be tough to land, but if he gets the Fate of Heart first, that might help him out a bit. Impale misses.
Ooh, and SNK taking a fair bit of damage, but Weapon Power Sky actually a nice pickup into that of the Lance, because whenever Lance goes in and misses one of those Impale, Sky can easily punish them for it with some quick auto attacks.
Yeah, really going to be a attack speed oriented Sky. It's hard to get the Atlas Pauldron onto a Sky. Blackfeather's one of the best heroes to do so because your Faint of Heart guaranteed to get you within melee range, within Atlas range. And now DefQ is farming reasonably well on this Sky, and actually way better than Vox. Uni has been struggling an awful lot. He's being pushed back in lane, as you can see, and SNK can use Healing Flask. But yeah, DefQ is just playing so aggressive that Vox is just unable to farm. Chingy boots again will be okay.
Oh, but they did force the boots out of Chingy. Now Chingy going to have a bit less mobility on that Black Feather. Does have the level 6 of a Rose Offensive already available to them to make up for that. So might be alright as they rotate up to lane. DefQ knows they're there, and Chingy just putting some pressure down SNK, landing the Impale Death from above, coming out, and you can see that even when the Impale lands, that SNK still taking a lot of damage from DefQ, and it looks like Chingy going to have to use one of those Rose Offensive stacks for now to get away from that blue city.
Yeah, that is a bit of pressure put by Impunity. Lance forced to use boots and back away. It is very defensive from Renagades. We're seeing them never use boots aggressively as Blue Sea is right now, but Chill Winds doesn't land, so there'll be no follow-up on that engage. And yeah, Impunity very aggressive, trying to push the fight in their favour. Impale stops the back four. SNK just knew. SNK playing really well today. He's just doing everything right on this Lance, and he's going to try and stop another backport. Bluxty is so far back, he's just not going to be able to shop. He has to go to his jungle rotation. And nice plays from Renegades. They are not letting this early game snowball be in favour of Impunity.
Yeah, I think Renegade's still able to play this one fairly well, although it's been quite passive between both teams and really no kills going over other than that the early game. It's starting to just show that Renegades were able to hold out. They've not given anything away to that Impunity, and I think that's the right thing to do for now, but it looks like they might even take away stuff from Impunity as they find Blue City in the jungle. There's going to be Quartervore rotating down, using the fountain to keep the Rhyme alive, and they get the fight turned around onto the side of RNG, pick up the double kill for themselves, and now it's just as the caster's curse goes. As soon as we say things passive, the teams just, they seem to hair us through some kind of secret mechanism.
Yeah, I like the fact that Bluxty actually didn't port, because now it means he can pick up a Shatter Glass, whereas before he wouldn't have been able to. He would have picked up a Reflex block. So Impunity looking to see still on top. Blackfeather's already respawned. Talking about that previous fight, it's similar to, it's really odd how that worked out, because Shingy thought, right, I've caught out Bluxty. Bluxty went, no you haven't, I've caught you out now. Grace came through, the fountain was massive for Rhyme, gave him so much healing, and he sustained himself with that fortified health. And Blackfeather, yes he has a barrier with on point, but once that's gone, once he's used Rose Offensive, he just has nothing compared to what the Rhyme has. Lovely Valkyrie, just to zone, and Blackfeather's gone for Aftershock first. It's something that works on Blackfeather. It feels like it shouldn't, but because Aftershock is so OP, it just works. You have you basic attack with your Faint of Heart, you basic attack with your Rose Offensive, and so that all applies at Aftershock. And against this Rhyme, it is risky because that means you have to get within melee range to apply your Aftershock. I would have liked to see Shatterglass first to try and outpoke this Rhyme as opposed to outduel him.
Yep, and then although we kind of consider that Black Feather is able to stick to Sky quite well, I think in this situation with a Weapon Power Sky pickup, it's not as bad, and Sky is still going to be quite mobile, and we talked about one of the key things for Chingy on this Black Feather is going to be landing those on points, getting the stacks more importantly, and then trying to get the burst damage down. But with Sky jumping around all over the place, it's sometimes quite hard to do. You can see already two hard stacks on that Blue City, however not really able to get onto. There's going to be the Impale, so they might have a chance now, but the Valkyrie used in return, and they do stun out Chingy and Uni. However, look at that, as soon as they get the damage down, Renegades ready to go in, and there's going to be the Divine Intervention onto DefQ, but a lot of damage already after the fact is going to make that very ineffective, and now Renegades could look to push this turret, but it looks like they still need their own minion wave there, and Blue City not sure whether he should stay around, clear out this minion wave, and it looks like he's going to do so. Meanwhile, Renegades taking this opportunity to go for the gold mine, so in the end getting an objective out of that team fight. Very nice to see by them, as they do put that gold lead in favor of them. They're sitting at 19.3k over to 18.5. It's only slightly, but at this point, with how even these teams have been playing, I think any lead is better than none.
Yeah, what you saw in that team fight, if the teams are allowed to both poke, it's easily going to go in favour of Renegades. CP Black Feather just outpoked Rhyme, outpoked Weapon Sky. The fights have to be engaged by Rhyme, Sky on the backline building up as many breaking point stacks as possible, then Impunity can win, because Sky going for breaking point into Serpent's Mask, it's a very different Sky build to what we normally see. I normally see Solar Blade into breaking point into double Tyrants, or maybe a Tornado Trigger, but if you go for more sustain, Atlas does land.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's usually quite a different build, but there's going to be the engagement. Valkyrie missing. Wait for it is used, and the Fountain not going to be enough to save the Sky. And as you said, if teams are just left to poke around and the fights go on for quite a bit longer, it looks like RNG tend to be winning more or less, more of these fights out.
Yeah, there's lots of poke going out onto Quadivore. He's forced to back under his turret, and now tier 1 turret going to go down to Renegades. Impale does not, Combat Roll does not get over the wall, so Blue Steel will be okay. But really good from Renegades. Sky trying to do the work with the Serpent's Mask, but it's not quite enough. And one Divine Intervention was reduced by the Mortal Wound from Vox. Nice plays from Vox. He needs to get that before Grace at level 6. And the second one, Sky just died before the healing could even come through to her.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It actually happened in the previous fight as well, where Divine Intervention was used, but it was basically pointless. As soon as it was used, the Black Feather was able to burst all that health that they healed back up for just down in a second. And it's making me wonder what the side of Impunity can really do to win these fights out for themselves. I think they need to play a bit more aggressively, personally, although the problem with that is no one's there to peel for this Sky.
Yeah, the Rhyme is there in kind of there to peel for Sky, but that's not what Rhyme's designed to do. Rhyme's designed to be engaging, going in by himself, going in onto whoever is there, be it the Black Feather, be it the Vox, just dive in on someone and kill them. It's not quite working out for them at the moment. We're going to have to wait and see how this next team fight is going to work out, but it looks like it'll be in favour of Renegades if we start off with poke like this.
Yep, you can see Chingy already has full broken heart stacks on that Quadivore. There's going to be the silence onto Sky, and now a very easy target, but she's able to find Visceri Strike away, and we see Blue City going in deep, but the damage output coming from the side of Renegades right now, too much to deal with, although Def Q on this guy starting to build up breaking points, although gets Giphy and Walt into the wall. The triple kill for the Vox, who actually had more breaking points in the end, seeing at 17. Will win that fight out for the side of Renegades, but you've got to give it to them as a whole, as their team comp is playing well together, and just it seems like their engagement's a lot more in their favor, where Blue City, he is in on his own. There's no real synergy there between Impunity with their engagement.
Well, the problem with Impunity's engagement is that if Rhyme goes in, he gets focused. If Sky is anywhere near, she's going to get focused and they're going to ignore Rhyme. The target focus from Renegades is really impressive, and the reason why Vox built up more breaking point stacks was because he has more damage items. He's just now picked up his metal jacket, whereas in that previous team fight, Vox had 3 damage items, Sky had 2, and so Vox, if he's not focused, is going to build up way more damage, way more breaking point stacks, and deal considerably more damage than this Sky who's still going for the stacking build. She's going breaking point, Serpent's Mask, Bonesaw. Obviously, Vox with a metal jacket, the Bonesaw will be very effective. If Sky can block the Atlas, she's not got a reflex box, she's got shield at the moment. If Sky can block the Atlas, then she can outtrade Vox with a Bonesaw compared to his just weapon power build. But these heals from Grace just aren't doing anything. They're not even showing up the number because it's not enough for the game to think these heals are important for us to see, because there's Mortal Wounds denying as much healing as possible, and Renegades looking to push tier 3 turret.
Yep, we do see Quadivore going in, but Holy Nova not landing. Death from above also put down, and they're just trying to keep Renegades off of this anchor turret. They're almost able to get to half health, but not quite yet, so they're just going to back off instead. Probably look for this Crystal Sentry, which I believe would be the first they've taken away from the side of Impunity, but we can already see a 5k gold lead in favor of Renegades, who are sitting at 32.4 over to 26.7, and now Impunity, they're not even going to go for the fight. You can just see that they understand Renegades so far ahead at this point, just based off the prior team fights and the objectives they were able to get off the back of them.
Yeah, it looks like there may be a team fight coming shortly. Blackfeather is going to try and outpoke this level 12 for Blackfeather. Here we go.
There's going to be a death from above, but it's not going to be enough to stop the onslaught coming out from Renegades, as Chingy going to pick up the kill onto that of Blue City on the Rhyme. And now there's going to be the Giffian Wall onto Cordovoy. He's just going to get picked up in the trail, and Sky trying their best to kite back, but there's really going to be no stopping that of Renegades as they pick up the ace, a kill for each member in that fight. And they're going to now be seeing at 10-3. They're just going to go on to this anchor turret. They know they have the damage. They don't need to worry about the turret at all putting out anything as near what they're going to do to it. And Blue City, he just comes back to his entrance like, oh, my turret's gone, and not too much he can do at this point. And I was really expecting the Rhyme to have a lot more effectiveness, especially what we saw the potential of in the early game. But as you said, Renegades just denied any snowballing from the side of Impunity.
Yeah, you would have thought that Impunity's composition could work out late game, but really their win condition was win this early game, snowball the early game, make Blackfeather useless in the team fights, make Sky able to 1v1 trade Vox. That is such an important point of these team fights. If Sky can just jump on Vox and 1 versus 1 him, then then Rhyme can jump on Blackfeather and will easily win that 1 versus 1. There's no question that Rhyme would beat a Blackfeather. But the problem is Sky is just not able to do that. So Sky isn't able to build up breaking point stacks. In that last fight, we saw Sky on 4 stacks and Uni on the Vox on 11. And so at that point in the fight, there's no way Sky's going to win. You're not as stacked. You haven't got as many tier 3 damage items. Now you have by picking up the Bone Sword. But Vox has already got 5 items. He's got Journey Boots. He's kept his Healing Flask because now he's going to sell it and better get a Reflex Block or maybe go for more damage. And so Uni is just going to out-damage this Sky in the team fight up until this point. So it's taken a very long time for Sky to get equal damage with Vox. And now there's a 7k gold lead. Renegades should get cracking if they just start it up. But looks like they're going to be a bit more passive.
Yep, and it looks like they are, SNK at least, still keeping hold of this Kraken while the rest of Renegades pushing that out of the lane, but Impunity will spot out that the Kraken is not in its usual spot. It's actually very far away. I've never seen Kraken pulled all the way around past the top of the tri-bush there like SNK has, but he somehow managed to do it, but they're not going to be able to take it without a fight.
Yeah, Kraken can actually go quite far away from his base. You see, he's just keep walking. Death and Bob is used, so this could be an engage. And definitely going very aggressive.
Oh, and there's going to be the wait for it going onto the backline, that of Cordoval, but they get the Divine Intervention off to heal Sky back up. This could be a fight in favor of the side of Impunity, but no, Sky gain taken down by that Uni. You really can't focus on Chingy on this Blackfeather. You need to take down that Box who's just stacking up those breaking points, but Rhyme finds the kill and manages to do so, but instead, the double threat coming through as Chingy gets them in the back. So really, I would like to say you can't focus on this Blackfeather, but either way, at this point, no matter who you focus on, you're going to get taken down from one side or the other. And in that case, it was that in the earlier fights, we could think that Uni would be the right target to go for, really put a lot of pressure on this Vox. But we talked about this fact before, that the side of Impunity were not able to put the pressure onto RNG, and because of that, they're now paying the price with having this really built up Renegades comp to go against and not really much damage to fight it off with. We've got the Eve of Harvest and Shatterglass on that Blue City, which must say that tends to work out in a Rhyme build, but there's no defense backing that up.
Yeah, he hasn't got any Vox defense. I agree they definitely need to dive onto Uni. If Impunity don't dive onto Uni in this team fight, they're probably just going to lose the game straight away. I really like how Defq has sold his kinetic shield through a reflex block. He needs that to block the Atlas, then they can win the fight. But by the time he's got that block, now Blackfeather's got his own Atlas, so there's 2 he has to block. And there's no Crucible for Cordovar because he wanted his own Atlas and his Echo. But Impunity have let the Kraken get this far. It's not looking good for them. But lovely death from above from Sky.
Yep, the depth from above will slow the engage out from Renegades, but look at that turret already so very low and no one focusing Kraken because Impunity basically have to take this fight. If they don't, Renegades are going to push through, take the turret anyway, and take the base. And there's going to be the engagement as Sky trying to get onto that Chingy, but Chingy just going to rose offensive through them, picking up the kill. Uni nothing, Uni dancing right up the backline, does get caught up in the Valkyrie, but Blue City nothing they can do to stop the box. The Crystal will fall for the first match, 14-4, and Renegades looking strong.
Yeah, Renegades top of the table, and they take 1 point away from Impunity. So it makes it a little bit harder if Impunity make the comeback and win this game too. Even more points in the next couple of days to close this gap. Fantastic plays from SNK, from Shingy, and from Uni. All members of Renegades really playing well. Yes, Uni struggled early on. I pointed out the CS difference at the start.